Go for two, Danny.
Here we go.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. See this?
I'm not going to read it.
What we got?
This is my boomstick.
Hey folks, every week on the Firing Line Radio Show, you know our conversation is going to revolve around firearms, hunting, gun rights that are afforded to all Americans under the Second Amendment of the Constitution. Now, our faithful and stalwart companion in the battle to uphold these rights has been our longtime sponsor, Vince Torres at Bullseye Sports Guns and Ammo in Riverside. Great guy, go see him. Now, if you're not armed for protection or recreation, shame on you. Go to Bullseye Sport in Riverside, where you need to go for handguns, rifles, shotguns, ammos, accessories, and much more. Now, after you purchase that firearm, Vince and I highly recommend you attend a certified firearm safety and training course. One that will teach you the basic knowledge, skills, and attitudes essential to the safe and efficient use of your firearm. For more information about the certified firearm courses, call Bullseye Sport in Riverside, 951-823-0211. Visit their website, bullseyesport.com, bullseyesport.com, 951-823-0211, because we believe in safety first. Thank you very much for your sponsorship, Vince. It's the reason we've been on the air for 7 years, is we have the support of great people like that. Joining me here, folks, and also, joining me here, I have Taylor Salveson, and he's here because he's got a great informational package, a download. He's got a mental download, a mental dump. Taylor's known for his mental dumps of information about what's going on in the Second Amendment community and what's going on in our legislative field, because we're seeing all these different things. This week, while I was visiting with him, he brought up a fact about, well, in California, we have something called the safe handgun roster, which means that any gun not deemed on the safe handgun roster by affiliation or disaffiliation must be unsafe. Therefore, police officers can buy guns and carry guns on the unsafe roster, but civilians can't.
But civilians can't, right?
Yeah. It's another.
Those who are blessed with the
thing.
Right to walk around society with guns the most are apparently carrying unsafe guns deemed by the state unsafe every day around us. That's it.
Approved by the state to be unsafe.
Yes, absolutely.
And approved for carry by the local county.
Absolutely, yeah. Nonsensical as it gets. But this last weekend, we as dealers just received
let me back this up now.
Yeah.
So this roster came into effect after Schwarzenegger
Yes.
signed this micro-stamping bill back in 04, 06 or something. Just another betrayal by a politician. Arnold Schwarzenegger, never go see one of his movies. Hate that guy now. He's a punk and he was a big liar.
Yes.
So anyway, yeah, Arnold, you a liar. So here's the thing. He declared it into law saying, oh, don't worry, it will never happen. Kamala Harris comes along, who's now your senator, signs this bill saying, oh, this technology exists, which it doesn't. But
It doesn't.
She just signed it that it does. And now any new firearm in production has to be able to micro-stamp a shell after it's been fired with a registration code of what gun it came from. So what has happened is any new firearm for the last, 7 years?
Since 2014 and a half is when the
cutoff was?
That portion of it came in. There were rollouts of different restrictions, and that one came in 2014, July 1. And to surmise, basically what this says is that unless a gun can micro-stamp its unique serial number in 2 different places on every cartridge fired.
Not just one, but 2.
Yes, 2 places. It cannot be submitted for roster approval, and civilians can't buy a handgun that's not approved by the roster. So I always liken it like this in the shop for people. I make this analogy. It'd be as if the Department of Motor Vehicles told automakers, we're not saying you can't sell new cars here. All we're saying is if you want to sell a new car, it has to hover. That's it.
Right.
Yeah. So you're saying we can't sell new cars here, you know?
Again, it's another act on purpose to restrict gun ownership.
100%.
And so here's what's happened. So say you're somebody who has a minor collection of firearms, right? You like to buy them every now and then. I don't know anybody in particular, but
no.
Let's say you're that guy. For the last 5 years, anytime you've walked into a gun store, the new gun case is exactly the same.
The same.
Glock 19s. Ooh, that turns me on. Wait.
Well, here's a perfect example of that. Glock's on Gen 5. 2 generations past. We're on Gen 3 in California. That's all we can have. So Generation 4, Generation 5s,
With
we can
their
have.
safety
So any
improvements.
improvements that Glock and the engineers at Glock have decided are worthwhile to invest into, we as Californians can't have those.
Nope.
And that list has always been limited. A lot of that list has been guns that are the same gun but different colors, because
Right.
the state is so
Or barrel
Nazi
lengths.
about it.
Or barrel lengths.
Well, yeah. But I mean, like, literally the same barrel length, size, shape, dimension, the same firearm. If one is black and the manufacturer makes one in tan, they have to submit both, pay for both. Whenever the re-update certification comes, they got to re-update both.
And that's like what, 10,000?
I believe it's 10,000 is what it was per and you submit the firearm and you don't get it back. So you lose the inventory as a manufacturer as well. And that list was, I can't remember the exact amount of pages, but it was somewhere around like 124, 126 pages for the entire roster.
I think when I looked at it, there was 1,200 approved firearms.
Right. So they just...
But like he says, so like the Ruger SP101, well, 9 approved guns are the SP101.
Right. One might be this cal 38 special, one might be 357, and one might be 7-inch barrel, and the other's 5-inch. Those are the differences.
2, 4, 6.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. And so this past weekend, the already restrictive roster of handguns, the Department of Justice just put out a list that removed 66...
California Department of Justice.
Yeah, the California Department of Justice. This is a state thing. Removed 66 pages of handguns from this already restrictive roster. So I mean, the pickings are already slim in this state. You know,
pages. So here's how they remove them. Okay, they make the barrier to entry so onerous that a manufacturing company is like, well, we can't do it.
This is what I understand. I don't know this to be factual. Obviously, I'm not on the inside of things for Beretta, but a couple years ago, Beretta had one of their firearms, the PX4 Storm, fall off the roster. It was gone for a few months. What we had heard through the industry was the reason it got removed from the roster is Beretta opened up a new factory in a different state, and the state told them, they moved the production of that particular firearm to a new factory, and the state told them, you didn't submit the gun from this factory from this state. You submitted it from this factory in the old state, so you can't sell it anymore. The Gen 3 Glocks we have here in California, they have to be Austrian-made Glocks.
Right. Not
U.S.
Georgia.
I mean, that's how crazy it is. The same gun manufactured in the United States, giving a United States citizen a job, can't be sold in our state. It has to be from the Austrian factory.
We're in California. There's no such thing as a United States citizen.
It's
Just world citizens, open borders, except for firearms who can't cross borders.
No. Yeah, no.
So here's the deal, folks. These things are happening. 66 pages disappeared. Companies are choosing not to pay the green mail. It is lowering our restrictions. And frankly, I mean, for a guy like me, I walk into a gun store and I just say, hey, where's your used gun case? Where's your consignment case?
Right.
Because...
yeah, it's the only way you can maybe possibly run into something you haven't already owned prior or seen. Yeah.
If it's on the roster for the last 5.5 years, you've probably bought what you wanted. That's on that roster.
Yeah.
And since the roster's getting smaller, now the chances of that are even more so.
Yeah.
So that hurts gun stores. Gun stores are there to make a profit or make a living and to serve the public. They are a necessary evil, right?
Yes.
Well, you're evil.
Yeah.
But gun
not the
stores
store. The gun store's fine. Yeah. It's just guys like me.
Exactly.
Arms dealers. Yeah.
Small arms dealers.
Small arms dealers.
Well, you're like 6'4" though.
Yeah, a large small arms dealer.
You're a not so small arms dealer.
Yeah.
Like little Big Tom out of Riverside Indoor Shooting Range. Not so small arms dealer. Anyway, back on that, I want to touch on a couple different things, and that is that a lot of times people will hear something. Well, that makes sense to me. Like the most recent one's the bump stock. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So people are saying, well, I don't use a bump stock. I don't need a bump stock. I don't want a burst trigger mechanism, so I don't need a burst trigger mechanism.
Right.
So I don't care. And what happens is it's like a triangle, okay, or a bell curve, if you will. Every single time we get one of these little bills that comes out, they're carving off on the far edge. So right now, on this triangle system, they're chopping over here on the left side. They're saying, oh, no bump stocks. Bump stocks are bad. And most of us, frankly, don't own a bump stock or don't want a bump stock. But so they don't fight against the bump stock. Or the trigger burst. I don't want one. So they don't fight against it. And so what happens is those are now off the table. The next thing coming up is going to be let's say multiple magazine ownership.
Yeah, they continue down the circle. They just go death by 1,000 cuts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just the next slice on this triangle.
Every single time.
And so what used to look like a bell curve ends up looking like a tower because they've destroyed.
And just like a bell curve, it is exponential, and that line is at the exponential rate right now.
Yeah, so the next move affects so many more people.
Yes.
And that's why I'm going to jump on this one here again. Go sign up at rexdefense.com. Go to our RX seminar. You're going to be there.
I'm going to be there.
February 2nd and 3rd, Riverside Indoor Shooting Range. Go to rexdefense.com. Folks, we're going to need to learn how to be a good patriot and be responsible with their gun ownership and responsible with your gun safety and responsible with your abilities. Philip Naiman, Firing Line Radio Show. We'll be right back after this. You're blasting through this show.